Hello, I'm Kathy Jameson, the Proposition Lady, and I'm here to help you understand the state propositions on your 2024 California election ballot. Today I'm going to talk about Prop 36, which seeks to change California's approach to criminal justice. Many Californians are frustrated by high-profile property crimes and streets overflowing with mentally ill or addicted people. But is Prop 36 the answer, or could it make things worse? If you already think you know how you're going to vote, I encourage you to hear all the arguments for and against Prop 36 before making a final decision. I'm not asking you to change your mind. All I ask is that you keep it open, because there are truly valid points on both sides of this debate. And be prepared for a long episode. We got a lot to unpack here. Let's start by putting Prop 36 in context with California's criminal justice history. Last year, I published an episode about Prop 47, which I encourage you to watch. Here's the short version. In the 1980s and 90s, the United States experienced historically high crime rates, far higher than what we see today. Many states, including California, instituted tough-on-crime policies with mandatory minimum sentences, which punished criminals and casual drug users alike. Those policies resulted in historic prison overcrowding. In 2011, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled California's prison system unconstitutionally overcrowded. To remedy that, California adopted a number of criminal justice reform laws. One of them was Prop 47, which reduced penalties for nonviolent offenses and created a funding stream for crime prevention and victim services. But just as the tough-on-crime laws of the 1990s went too far with prison sentencing, many argue that the laws enacted to relieve prison overcrowding created too much leniency, particularly for repeat offenders. There is some debate as to whether data on property crime and public safety match the public's perception of property crime and public safety. But when merchandise is locked down in stores and tent communities line the streets, we're informed as much by our own experiences as we are by data or the media. The authors of Prop 36 say that theft, drug use, and homelessness are out of control. Something has to change. But critics say that if we pass it, we'll be restarting the failed war on drugs and entering a new era of mass incarceration. Let's look at how Prop 36 increases punishments for property crime. Per the terms of Prop 47, theft of goods worth $950 or less is a misdemeanor, even for repeat offenders. This disincentivizes our busy police force from responding to shoplifting calls. Prop 36 turns theft of less than $950 into a felony if the person has 2 or more past convictions for certain theft crimes. The felony sentence would be up to 3 years of incarceration. Supporters say Prop 36 gives law enforcement tools to stop repeat offenders without the long mandatory minimum sentences of the 1990s. If you agree, you may want to vote yes on Prop 36. Critics say all 3 strikes laws result in disproportionate sentencing because people could be sentenced to 3 years in prison even if their 3rd strike was stealing a loaf of bread. If that resonates with you, you might consider voting no. Prop 36 also increases penalties for theft based on the value of the stolen property, and it allows felony sentences for theft or property damage to be lengthened by up to 3 years if the crime was committed by 3 or more people together. If you gang up together to steal or destroy, your sentence could be doubled. Supporters say Prop 36 allows more appropriate sentencing for those who commit high-profile smash-and-grab theft operations. If you agree, you may want to vote yes on Prop 36. But critics say that Prop 36 does not address the root causes of crime. In fact, by sending more people to prison and reducing funds for crime prevention programs, Prop 36 could lead to an increase in crime and homelessness. Here's how. Under the terms of Prop 47, the money we save in court and prison expenses gets applied to mental health and drug treatment programs, K-12 schools, and crime victims. Last year, Prop 47 generated almost $100 million for these programs. According to the California Budget and Policy Center, people who received Prop 47-funded behavioral health services and/or participated in diversion programs were much less likely to be convicted of a new crime. In addition, these programs resulted in a 60% decrease in the number of participants ending up homeless. Not only does Prop 36 reduce the amount of money we spend on prevention, it can further add to the homeless crisis by incarcerating more people. The CBPC says that formerly incarcerated people are nearly 10 times more likely to experience homelessness than the general population. In fact, a recent study showed that nearly 1 in 5 unhoused Californians entered homelessness directly from an institutional setting. If you think that reducing crime prevention funds and sending more people to prison will worsen California's homeless crisis, you may want to vote no on Prop 36. Let's turn to how Prop 36 changes penalties for drug-related crimes. During the war on drugs, people could be imprisoned for tens of years simply for possessing drugs for their own use. Prop 47 sought to address that by classifying possession charges as misdemeanors. But critics say the lack of consequences for illegal drug possession discourages people from getting treatment. That's why Prop 36 allows people who possess illegal drugs to be charged with a new class of crime called a treatment-mandated felony. This would apply to people who possess certain drugs and and have 2 or more past drug crime convictions. These people could be offered drug or mental health treatment as an alternative to prison. Prop 36 says they would also be offered shelter, job training, and other services. If they finish treatment, their charges get dismissed. If they don't, they could serve up to 3 years in state prison. If you think Prop 36 effectively leverages the threat of prison to get people into treatment, you may want to vote yes on Prop 36. But critics say that Prop 36 contains no mechanism to accommodate all the people who will require treatment under the new law. Governor Newsom, who's opposed to Prop 36, says 22 counties don't have one residential treatment facility. Prop 36 offers drug treatment, mental health support, and job training, but contains no funding for those services. If you're afraid Prop 36 makes promises that it can't keep, you may want to vote no. Let's turn to new Prop 36 provisions for people who endanger the lives of others by selling hard drugs and carrying firearms. Currently, if an individual possesses cocaine, heroin, or methamphetamine and a firearm, that warrants a felony charge. Prop 36 adds fentanyl to that list and increases the penalty for possessing both hard drugs and a firearm from up to 1 year to up to 4 years. In addition, Prop 36 increases prison sentencing for the sale of certain drugs based on the quantity sold, and it requires felonies for selling certain drugs to be served in state prison instead of county jail. If you want to see stricter punishment mechanisms for those who endanger others and contribute to the fentanyl crisis, you'll want to vote yes on Prop 36. But is it a good idea to steer more people into the state prison system? While prison populations have fallen dramatically since 2011, the prisons are still overcrowded. And when it comes to prison sentencing, Black and brown people are arrested and convicted at higher rates than their white counterparts. Prop 36 sends more people to prison without addressing any of the racial inequity present in our justice system. It's also important to consider the condition of California prisons. No one who's convicted of a crime is sentenced to sexual assault. But sexual assault in prison happens all the time. Whether it's perpetrated by other inmates or by correctional officers, many people experience severe and traumatic abuse in prison. What's more, job and housing opportunities for former inmates are extremely limited. The combination of emotional trauma and lack of opportunity can result in more crime and drug use. If you think we should improve prison conditions before sending more people into the system, you may want to vote no on Prop 36. Lastly, if Prop 36 passes, courts would be required to warn people convicted of selling or providing certain drugs that if those drugs kill someone, the seller could be charged with the murder of that person. If you want to make it easier to charge dealers with murder when their products kill, you may want to vote yes on Prop 36. Now that we understand how Prop 36 works, let's take a quick look at other criminal justice reform legislation designed to address property theft. In 2019, California enacted AB 1065, which created a regional property crimes task force. This law has produced results. More recently, in August, Governor Newsom signed 10 bills into law in an effort to combat retail crimes. Here are just a few. Like Prop 36, AB 2943 allows a felony charge on the third theft offense. It also aggregates dollar amounts from all property theft offenses and expands programs that divert offenders into drug treatment programs. AB 1779 allows thefts occurring in different counties to be aggregated and charged in a single court. AB 3209 gives the court power to impose a restraining order on a person who has stolen, vandalized, or assaulted a person on store property. SB 905 allows certain offenses to be charged as a felony, and SB 1242 stiffens sentences for people who start a fire in order to commit retail theft. In fact, we almost had 2 competing crime reform measures on the ballot this year, but the legislature pulled their criminal justice reform measure at the last minute. There's been a lot of fighting about this. It's been kind of a hot mess, actually. To make a long story short, everyone's trying to combat retail theft, resulting in different approaches. And some laws have only recently been enacted. If you appreciate the legislature's efforts to pass stricter retail crime laws and want to give them time to have an impact, you may want to vote no on Prop 36. The Legislative Analyst's Office says that Prop 36 could cost California several tens of millions to the low hundreds of millions of dollars annually. When we follow the money, we find that as of September 30th, almost $12 million have been raised in support of Prop 36, with most of the money coming from large retailers. Around $3 million has been raised by those opposed to Prop 36, mostly donated by criminal justice reform groups and human rights activists. Prop 36 represents a fundamental change to California's approach to criminal justice. It targets repeat offenders of theft and drug-related crimes and has support from district attorneys and law enforcement. But the consequences of putting more people into a violent and broken prison system could worsen the very problems we're trying to solve. I'm Kathy Jameson, the Proposition Lady, and if you made it all the way to the end of this video, you're a rock star. See you soon, California voters. Bye now!